We've talked JARRID Williams in recent weeks, but Cam, you're telling me that there's reason to talk about him specifically this week.
Well, JARRID Williams is the offensive tackle from Houston who entered into the transfer portal and is debating potentially coming to Miami or not, or to go elsewhere. He said, or it was stated that he was probably going to commit somewhere Memorial Day weekend. If you know your calendar, that is not this weekend. That was last weekend. So things are going on longer and longer, and it's basically seeming to come down to Miami or Baylor, excuse me. So does he want to come out here and play with D'Eriq King, who he's played with before, or does he go and stay home in the state of Texas and go to Baylor? To me, it's getting towards the point where like you need to make a decision. Yeah, like this cannot go on forever. Where you're hemming and hawing, or like, maybe I'll come and maybe I won't. I'm going to pause right now. Bergie, other SEC teams and whatnot are already or have already offered Trotman previously, so I already expect the bump to come later based on those things, not based on the fact that he came to Miami, because we already know that usually players lose rankings when they go to Miami. But that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, back to JARRID Williams. Yeah, it's coming to the time that a decision needs to be made. And I actually had this conversation with somebody else about a different topic. But yeah, you cannot just have things go on forever. Cannot just say, okay, well, I'll get to it or whatever. Like, everybody needs to know. You know what I mean? Like, Miami needs to know. Baylor needs to know. The play, it's a thing that just cannot just go on forever. So, there's been maybe a thought that a commitment from JARRID Williams, wherever he might go, could be coming this weekend-ish, maybe in the near future. Who knows? But yeah, at this point, it's getting just, to me, to be look, you're a grown man because you're a fifth-year senior, so you're 22, 23 years old. You know what I mean? This is not the flight of fancy of a 15-year-old high school sophomore who's committing to the first school that he ever visited on a camp trip because, oh my God, it was amazing. Like, no, you're grown. You know what I mean? So you got to make a decision. And if it is to come to Miami, good, great, wonderful, and glorious. We can use your talent. It will upgrade the offensive line group. Whether you battle for a job or win a job, that's up to you. Just like it was up to Tommy Kennedy when he came in from Butler last year. Nothing will be handed to you, but the opportunity to play is here at Miami. I guarantee you that. It's probably there at Baylor as well. But either way, you got to decide.
We got Rod the Farva on the line asking about Jayden Hood, who's a Michigan commit. I don't know that we've really talked about him. I know the name, and now that I look him up, wow. So Michigan went down to South Florida. And unless there's a decommit or a change, a flip here, they have got themselves what could potentially be one of the best linebackers in the country.
Mm-hmm. We did a couple of weeks ago. That's the kid whose name I couldn't remember. Maybe about a month ago, they were asking me.
When you can't remember a kid's name, that stands out because that's about once a year. So I do remember that.
Right. Yeah. So that was him. Kid who plays for Aquinas. Everybody's All-American. He looks the part, plays a part, all those kind of things. Did commit to Michigan, and he is the third linebacker of note in the last 7 years to do so. A couple of years, Anthony Solomon from Aquinas last year, 2 years ago, was committed to Miami and then flipped late. And then 6 years ago, Devin Bush from Flanagan, Devin Bush Jr., went up there to Michigan as well. So, Michigan is a national program. They do recruit nationally, and they have had some success down here. It could be possible that he could flip. It could be possible that he stays, But no, Jayden Hood is a great player with all the potential in the world. So that's a big get for Michigan, especially, or anybody, wherever you were to go. As a small aside, I saw that there's a Florida State fan, one of the few that I actually associate with, Tridentine Knoll on Twitter. And he tweeted, and he's from Michigan. I've never met this guy, but he's from Michigan. He follows Michigan hockey, follows Michigan like high school hockey, high school sports, and things like that. Like he tweets about like cities and towns that like If I were to say them, you wouldn't know them. But for me, I'm like, oh, I know that's right around the corner on Novi, and you know what I mean? And he said that Michigan is turning St. Thomas Aquinas into a pipeline program. Excuse me. And I said, absolutely not. And he said, well, I'm not the only person to say that. And I said, you're not the only person to be wrong about that. And let me go further. Name me all the players who've gone to Michigan. Or they said the Big Ten, even if you extend it out. Name me all the players from Aquinas who have gone to the Big Ten. You got the Bosa brothers who follow their family tradition and went to your favorite school down in Columbus. You got Anthony Solomon going to Michigan. You could have now Hood going to Michigan. And whom else of note and consequence from Aquinas? Now, name me all the places that Aquinas players have gone. Miami's gotten 7 in the last 6 years. You know, you got a couple who went to Georgia. You got 2 from last year who just went to LSU. You got Asante Samuel Jr. who went to Florida State. You got James White, who's still in the league, who went to Wisconsin as a running back. You have, you know what I mean? I can name all these different places that Aquinas players go. And that's only talking about the top end of the Power 5. That's not even talking about the Group of 5. That's not even talking about Division 2 or FCS. You're not even talking about all these other places all these players go. Why? Because St. Thomas Aquinas puts out almost more prospects than any program in America. So it's asinine to think that a single program, let alone a single conference, is making this program, this high school program, an individual pipeline feeder program. It's categorically false. It doesn't matter. You can look at any metric that you choose. And I said that to people on Twitter. I said, go, cool. Name me the places that Aquinas players have gone in the last 5 years. Go ahead and name them. I said, okay, debate king. Da, da, da. I said, I'll wait. Because I'm not debating you. I'm having you do the work and you go look it up to show and prove that what you just said to me is wrong.
Folks, basically, if I'm interpreting that correctly to a number of conversations we have here and elsewhere, is that you need to put numbers into context, or you need to put specific examples into context. So, for example, we often have the conversation about recruiting rankings and how important the rankings are, how accurate, and how you have to comprise your roster if you want to contend for conference championships and elite status in college football with, let's say, 4 and 5 stars to a great degree, and then the 3 stars, and then people jump on and they point out all the aberrations that obviously over the course of years, and there being 75 Power 5 programs and there being 130 FBS programs, they're going to be plentiful. But so we can sit here for hours and hours and hours and talk about J.J. Watts and so forth and so on, those type of examples. But then if you match them up in context of the mass numbers, you still need 4 and 5 star recruits to win conference championships and compete at that level.
And it's a thing that actually I also tweeted about J.J. Watt, because I saw one of the Rivals guys, I don't know if it was Mike Farrell or one of the other national guys that I follow, said, well, Brian Bresee, who was going to Clemson this year as the number 1 player in America, said, well, he's already 5 pounds heavier than J.J. Watt and blah, blah, blah. I said, J.J. Watt grew 4 inches and gained 55 pounds of solid muscle in college. Like, J.J. Watt wasn't J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt was more like his younger brother. You know what I mean? The one who plays fullback. Like, that's the size he was when he was at Central Michigan as a tight end. Go look it up. Because J.J. Watt is, what, 6'5" or 6'6", 275, 280 now? He was like 6'3", 235. Maybe that heavy. You know what I mean? If you look at a Khalil Mack, same kind of a thing. Outliers are outliers to the point where we can name the individuals. You know, it's like when people talk about, musicians and everything. And like, I get that everybody has a connection with music. Look, there's a lot of people who play piano, guitar, they sing in their spare time. You can create music and have an intimate connection with it. But if I say Madonna, Beyonce, I can say certain people's singular names and you know them because they're different in that same interaction. So like, the context is always needed. And that's my thing.